we knew coming into the game that they had a lot of offensive weapons, and we talked about as a team, in order to beat a team like that, you got to make them miss. You can't hope that they miss. Didn't do nearly a good enough job of that tonight. They deserve a lot of credit. DeVries, phenomenal in the first half. Just his poise and he didn't force anything, but he was ultra aggressive, and that's the mark of an older, tougher, more seasoned, and really talented player.
Shaka, their perimeter guys got loose for threes. They also got in the paint and found other guys. Like, what do you want to see better defensively against?
Everything, everything. We have to guard the basketball better to begin with. We have to guard screening action better off the ball. We have to have 5 guys connected as one in plays where there is maybe a breakdown in coverage to help each other. We were too individual on defense tonight, where it was like, hey, let me just try to guard my guy. But against a team like that, you got to have 5 guys on a string. And, I think our guys actually have been making a lot of progress in that area, but tonight, or today, for whatever reason, there wasn't anywhere near enough carryover. And then, it's just a strange game. We got in the bonus super early. It's probably going to be a matter of time when you get in the bonus, they're going to get in the bonus. And I thought Indiana handled that much, much better than we did. There was a stretch where, we just picked up some fouls that put guys in foul trouble, and I think got guys on their heels, and that took away from our aggressiveness too.
With like 14 minutes remaining, you cut the deficit to 10 points, and then Indiana called timeout. Just during that little stretch where you were able to get some offense, what worked well during that, and what do you have to do to replicate it for the rest of the 13?
Defense to offense, attacking, getting in the paint. I thought we did a good job getting in the paint for most of the day. Our decision making at times wasn't great. Our finishing around the basket at times wasn't great. We only shot 16 threes, which, would have loved to, in some of those situations, kicked it out to wide open shooters. Instead of some of the forces we had. 15 turnovers is too many against a team like Indiana that doesn't particularly pressure you a lot. But I think we just lacked poise for different stretches there. When we had that stretch, we were aggressive. We actually put a few stops together, which was a rarity today, and we were able to go convert on the other end. But we just didn't sustain it well enough. We knew coming down the floor, Indiana's going to run, a nice action that their coach designed and that their guys do a good job executing. And again, our job, if we want to win, is to disrupt and take them out of that. And that's been our hallmark. That's who we've been, as a team and as a program. Clearly a long, long way to go. This is a game that we're going to make sure that we remember and that we learn from and we use as an example for a long time.
You started NJ in the second half. What were you looking for with that switch?
Just fire, fire. We need, today was not the level of fire, passion, energy that we need to have. And I thought he played with that in the first half and for most of the second half. He's the one guy on our team, right now that, he's going to be ultra aggressive. We got to help him play with poise when he does that. But we had some other guys that were too passive. And then when they got that way, they got quiet too. That's a bad combination.
Coach, Indiana's a team that's only been together for like 5 months. What are your impressions on kind of the way they play as a cohesive team, given that they've only been together that long?
Yeah, it sounds like their foreign tour really helped them with that as well. Just following their team, and it sounds like, they took some lessons out of that, and they said, hey, we got to be better at this, and this is a strength of ours. And that's a sign of mature players, understanding that, hey, we have a certain window of opportunity, and, we had this trip beforehand that we can learn from. In the Baylor scrimmage, you almost, or exhibition game, you almost saw them growing up over the course of the 40 minutes and figuring it out. That actually, as I was watching to prepare for this game, I said, man, that tells you something about their character and their basketball IQ, the way that they figured that game out over time. And then the way they played today, you know, their role allocation and role acceptance was really, really good. And they had guys finding each other and sharing the ball. We have to do a better job of disrupting that, but 27 assists is always a formula for success.
You guys got outscored by 14 in I think the last 7.5 minutes of the first half. Just kind of what did you see, other than that half quarter, which obviously is out of you guys' control there, but what did you kind of see in that 7.5 minute stretch at the end of the first half?
We were a step behind defensively, not good enough defeating screens off the ball, not good enough guarding the ball. They got to the foul line too much. And then we got a little frantic on offense. You know, before they made that run, we were, you know, I thought playing pretty well. Our transition ball screens, our attack in the paint was giving them some trouble. They adjusted. They went to a little more sagging, a little more switching, and we got a little bit impatient. You know, we still have some progress to make when we play through Caden and the movement off of him. I think we need to get a lot better with that. But, you know, they just really capitalized on mistakes on our end. They turned their stops into their scores a bunch during that stretch. And it was in a lot of ways a backbreaker, but you combine it with that 3 at the end of the half, because it was 18 at halftime, and, you know, 12 is different than 18. You know, now, you know, if we go on the run we went on at the beginning of the second half, you're in the game. But give them credit. They did a great job winning that. We call it a swing minute. They won the swing minute, and, you know, it was their game.
You talked about playing through Caden. With so many guys in different roles this year, offense was probably going to be a work in progress for a little bit. What are you going to focus on most after this?
On offense?
Yeah.
Well, I think our fluidity and playing to our advantages. You know, I thought the ball stuck a little bit today. Transition is when we're at our best. We had some really good possessions of that today, but, you know, when we got in the half court there were too many pauses. You know, we want flow. So that's one of the things we'll focus a lot on. And then individual players understanding, yes, I want to be aggressive, assertive, but, you know, sometimes when I go in there with not really much of a plan, it actually slows us down, and we got to get to the next action. So flow, a lack of pauses, ball movement, better cutting. We had some stretches there where we had good offensive rebounding. That's a thing that this team has to have to be our best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.